For thousands of years, humanity has longed to take to the skies, and with the Wright brothers' first flight in 1903, their dreams came true. Since then, aviation has developed rapidly. However, this great success story also has a dark side. In this documentary series, we will examine the worst aircraft accidents in history. We will go behind the scenes, discover how the accidents happened, which mistakes led to irreparable consequences, and how these tragedies shaped aviation. It's a warm morning in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, on July 17, 2014. As the July sun filters through the terminal windows, luggage is being pulled into the airport, goodbye kisses are being exchanged, and passengers are waiting for their flights. At Gate 03, a Boeing 777 was preparing to take off for Malaysia. Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was a plane that contained an entire life. There were children, scientists, musicians, families, lovers on board. A woman was trying to find her seat with her baby in her arms. A man was watching the movement on the runway from the window. No one knew that their journey would actually be forever. And ironically, that plane had also made its first flight on July 17th, exactly 17 years ago. Meanwhile, in another corner of the world, the skies were a silent witness to another war. In eastern Ukraine, in the Donetsk region, fighting was raging. Russian-backed separatists were taking up arms against the Kiev army. Cities were falling, checkpoints were being set up. And the sky was turning into the scene of an invisible war. 3 months ago, an Malaysian military plane was shot down. Kirktuku's soldiers were killed. 2 days ago, a Sukhoi fighter plane was shot down. But still, civilian planes were flying over this area. Because according to official rules, above 33,000 feet was safe for passenger planes. But the place that was safe on paper was a war zone in real life. 3 hours after the Malaysian plane took off, it entered Ukrainian airspace. For some unknown reason, air traffic control told MH17 to fly lower than planned, at 33,000 feet. And at 13:20 on July 17, 2014, a flash appeared in the sky. After a short silence, there was a huge explosion. A missile had literally pierced the sky and hit the plane right in the middle. The giant plane was torn apart in seconds. The fuselage was split in two. The cabin pressure collapsed. There were screams inside, but they could not be heard, because death had come silently. In the village of Rebov in Ukraine, it was a typical afternoon rush. The villagers were grazing their animals in their fields and doing their daily chores. Then suddenly, clothes started to rain down from the sky. Then suitcases, torn seats, passports, and toys. Some bodies had fallen in the fields, some on the roofs of houses, and some lay lifeless in their seats, still with their seat belts fastened. Miners, police, and volunteers arrived on the scene within hours. They were looking for one thing, a miracle. But that miracle never happened. 298 people on the plane were dead within seconds, and 60 of those were children. After this tragic event, the first questions started coming immediately. Who shot the plane? Why did they do it? Why were civilians targeted? The joint investigation team established under the leadership of the Netherlands began to piece together pieces of debris, rocket remnants, telephone conversations, and video recordings. There was only one conclusion. The plane had been hit by a Russian Buk missile system in territory controlled by pro-Russian separatists. And that missile system belonged to Russia's 53rd Air Defense Brigade. The missile's path was clear. But who pulled the trigger? In 2022, a court in the Netherlands found 3 people guilty of the downing of the plane. The first of these was Igor Girkin, the defense minister of the Donetsk People's Republic. The second was Sergei Dubinsky, the former intelligence chief, and Leonid Kravchenko. All 3 suspects were former agents of Russia's domestic intelligence. They were all sentenced to life imprisonment, but they were not in the courtroom because Moscow did not recognize the trial. Russia's official stance has always been the same: we didn't do it. The evidence actually always led the court to the same point. That was the top level, the Kremlin, Putin. The wiretapped phone conversations showed that decisions on military deployments were made directly by the top level, but this remained only an insinuation. International law could not touch a head of state, and so the truth stopped at the limit, like a cut wire, exposed and in danger. Thousands of people from Australia, the Netherlands, and Malaysia lost their loved ones on that plane. A musician died with his wife. A scientist burned to death on his way to an AIDS conference. A woman flew into eternity with her baby and became an angel. But the loss was not just physical. The lack of justice deepened the pain that had lasted for years. Each tree in the MH17 memorial in Amsterdam represented a victim. When the wind blows, names are still whispered. This story is actually the story of a curtain closing in the sky, the story of tragedy, international diplomacy, war, and silence. MH17 was not just a plane. That plane was a test. 298 lives were lost in that test. And even today, the sky asks that question, will it happen again? If you want to watch more true stories like this and the details of tragic plane crashes, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Stay with love. Stay with justice. Goodbye.